conversation community.
Hey y'all.
He's Scott.
And she's Tammy.
And we are
A couple of conversation.
Welcome, welcome. You are welcome here. So today we have
It's a work in progress.
Very I feel like we always have interesting topics, but this one is so I've been reading a book, and I'm the type I read several books at one time, and rarely finish any of them, but that's a whole other topic. Um, but I was reading this book on marriage and relationships, and I came across something that I shared with my husband, and I kind of want to have this conversation because I think that our hope is that it will be helpful to marrieds and also to those interested in marriage, because it's really just relational. And you ready to jump right in?
I think I'm ready. Hit me with
All right. So what it said, and I'll just read just a short portion of it. And it was talking about, and this is a book by Priscilla Shire. And one of the things she said in this book was shared that she had been given some advice that men possess two great fears, and husbands and just men in general. And so I asked my husband, I kind of read a little passage to him. I said, "Is this true?" And you said,
"It's absolutely true."
So what are those two great fears? One is...
First, let me say we have more than that, but these two are definitely two of them.
Yeah, these are two that are universal and obviously at the top of the list.
Can I say something else too?
Sure, honey. Say it, get it all out.
As a man, we don't like the word fear. Like, this isn't something we're scared of. It's just not something that we like or something that we would avoid if possible. It's not a fear. Because that makes you feel like you're scary. No, it's not a fear. It is, and we have an aversion to these things. I'll put it like that. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So I'll adjust the language. So the two things are that men universally and husbands especially have an aversion to being found inadequate,
mm-hmm.
and two, they have an aversion of being controlled by a woman.
And sometimes those two things actually commingle and become a double threat. But those two things are definitely a big deal for men. Men don't want to feel controlled, and they don't want to feel inadequate. They want to be your superhero. They want you to look at them. I want you to look at me the way you looked at me when we were dating. I'll come out and do something real simple, and you made it sound like Hercules. And I'll be like, yeah, I did that. You know what I'm saying? And then, like, 10 years in, you realize she didn't even really like that. She was just...
Oh, so, no, that's not true.
Well, that's the feeling. That's the aversion that men have to feeling inadequate, that you don't meet their needs. You don't make them happy. They don't see you as a hero. And think about all the things that grow from that. Or all the cancers that spread from that. If I feel like I'm inadequate to you in your eyes, then I'm gonna be super sensitive when you're around other guys. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be mean to people who I think might be adequate in your eyes, or that type of thing. It really kind of feeds a lot of other things if a guy feels that way. And I guess we can tackle one at a time. But that inadequacy feeling is something that grows from, childhood. And I've said this before, if you don't have somebody to affirm you, to let you know that you have what it takes, you'll grow up asking the world, do I have what it takes? And if you ask the wrong woman that, and she weaponizes it, makes you feel like you're inadequate, so you'll try harder. Those types of things can kind of really lead to some dry seasons in marriage and can kill a marriage. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. I'm going to lean on you a lot in this because I'm interested in...
Lean on me, baby.
Thank you.
You can tell I'm
Joe,
getting on her nerves right
lean
now.
on me, Coach Carter. The I was saying, I want to lean on you because I'm interested, and I feel like other women are interested in the male perspective on this. So I read this book, and this is the female perspective on how men feel, and believe it was informed by a lot of research where they tapped men to get this information. So, but I want to hear from you, and I feel like our audience will be helped by hearing from you.
Both of
And
them.
so, what? Be quiet. So, one of the things and like I said, I'm reading this book. He is not. But what's interesting is that one of the first things you said is that a man wants to be your hero, and the next line after they shared the aversion to being found inadequate, the aversion to being controlled by women, which stir in them several innate desires. The first one they said is your man wants to be your hero. He wants to feel like he is worthwhile to you and needed by you.
And I didn't read this, y'all. This
Yeah,
came off the dome.
it says he desires more than anything to see a look of love and admiration in your eyes. He wants to know that you celebrate him, depend on him, feel privileged to be married to him, and expect great things from him.
So this kind of goes back to singles too. I know we're talking to marrieds, but when you think about them being no chemistry, a lot of times a man is looking for that to feel chemistry. If I know that I can please this woman, if I know that this woman is find some satisfaction in me just being who I am, and I don't have to jump through hoops. I mean, that's attractive to me and men like me. I know there are other people who might see it differently, but when I look into your eyes and I don't see that, I see a distant stare, or you're trying to play coy and put your poker face on. A man is only going to try to break through that wall, for a period of time, and after a while, it's nothing. But once you see that in your spouse, you want to always see that in your spouse. You said before that, if you have a flat tire, you call me and I'm showing up. You know why? Because I see that look in your eye when I show up. I've seen you on the side of the road looking kind of panicked, and it's no fun. These big trucks are flying by and you don't know when I'm coming or where I'm coming. But when I pull up, I literally see your shoulders relax a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be that all the time. And one of the things that men won't admit to a lot is when we disappoint ourselves and missing that mark, when we know we could have showed up better, when we know we could have um, been more worthy of that. We want that without delivering what it takes to get that sometimes. But men on the whole want to be seen as that guy for you. And as soon as I'm not that guy for you, a couple of things start to happen. We start to show out a little bit, show off a little bit, or the thing that really drives you crazy, we start to let you know how much everything cost us. Mm. Because if you're not seeing it, we need to quantify it for you. So now I got to let you know what all I went through to make this happen. It's what when you go from what used to be appreciated to now it's just expected, then there's nothing in it, and you don't feel that look of appreciation, like you're adequate enough, like you're meeting that need. Yeah.
Okay, that's helpful because one, I get that men want to be celebrated for who they are.
Not celebrated.
Right. Well, no,
not celebrated.
Well, let me. Can I make my point? Can I make my point?
Yes.
Men want to be celebrated for who they are and not just celebrated when you do great things or you have to, show up, extra all the time in order to get some appreciation or to show some celebration. You want to just be celebrated because you're you and the things that you naturally do. The other thing you said was that that when that doesn't happen, that you start counting the cost. And so I know, this is one of the things that, we have said amongst ourselves in our marriage. And I'll be like, I stop telling me how much it costs you to do something for me. I don't like that. But this you haven't said, or I haven't heard when you said, well, the reason I'm doing that is because I don't you're making me feel like I'm not showing up for you, or that I'm not adequate. I'm feeling inadequate. So I have to let you know how much it costs you. And we're not talking, financial costs, but like time, like when you like, oh, I was supposed to, I'm gonna do it, but that means I can't do A, B, and C. And I'd be like, you know what? Never mind. If you gotta let me know how much it costs you to do for me, then I'll just do it for myself. I don't want to know. I don't want a bill.
There's a thought.
For what I asked you to do. If I asked you to do something, I don't want you to be like, okay, well, here's the bill for that. And so what I heard you say today, what I'm hearing you say, is that when you do that, it's because you're feeling, I've made you feel inadequate or in some way, or I haven't been, you're not feeling appreciated.
There's a component of that. There's always a component of that. When I start to say, hey, this is what it's costing me, it's because I feel like I've shown up effortlessly before, and because it looks effortless to you, you don't think anything of asking it all the time. and I'm hyperbole. I'm exaggerating a bit, but if I don't say anything, then there's no guardrail there, and it's assumed it's nothing. It's no big deal. He does it all the time.
Or you assume that's what I'm
Well, you said one time that when I cook for you, and he likes to chop all this stuff, and he likes to do all this, and he says it does for me, but he just kind of likes to. And I want you to appreciate all the things that go in there. It's fresh. It's this. It's hot. It's ready to go. And when it's not appreciated, it's kind of like, well, do you understand what all this is about? Do you know why this is happening? And then we get to mansplaining, and those things really kind of aggravate and drive you crazy. When it's appreciated, um, it's kind of like it's not appreciated until you have to do it. Like, uh, and we've been married 20 years.
I feel like we said that in every.
Well, I mean, that's a big thing. That's a big deal. So we've been married 20 years, right? In our 20 years, how many times have you had to roll a trash can to the curb? I mean, it's happened,
yeah,
but very rarely.
Not many. But I appreciate that, because I cannot stand to. I don't feel like that.
You don't want to touch the dirt. You don't want to do the thing, but if I do it all the time, and I don't say anything about it, and I feel like that's my job. I should be doing it all the time. You should, but you're not going to appreciate it. It's just something that happens until you do it, and then you do it. And it's like, it's probably a little bit more to this. If I had to do this all the time, it'd be a little bit more to it. And the same thing, like if I had to wash clothes all the time, fold them all the time, it would drive. I was about to curse a little bit. I don't mean to, but it would drive me crazy. But I appreciate it. We talk about our different responsibilities around the house. My wife is the bill payer. I don't lie. I hate sitting in front of the computer, crunching numbers and doing these different things. So I try to tell her all the time, at least I feel like I do, I appreciate you doing what you do, the administrative portion of what you do. Who are you texting right now? Because I'm having a good conversation. I'm in the pocket.
I'm listening, but and to show you that I'm listening, when was you said you tell me all the time? When was the last time you feel like you told me you appreciate?
That's why I said I feel like I do. I try to tell you what I appreciate. Well, I definitely appreciate that you do that and make sure that it's done. So I know that's a two-way street. Appreciation sometimes just needs to be verbalized. I guess that's the bottom line to it. If your spouse is adequate for you, you need to tell them. You're what I need, and not just on your birthday or on a card, and then be fussing at them like an idiot. Then 5 minutes later, it makes the card like, I know you're gonna say this, but this is how you really feel. Just showing appreciation, saying please and thank you, and all of those different things. And you know what? I really appreciate the way you do blah blah blah. those you told me once when we first got married. You said, I don't know if I told you or you told me, but
I'm
it
shocked.
was love and respect, and you're like, if I give you a card that says I love you, it's not really going to mean much because women are designed to love, so they didn't go out of their way to do this. But if I give you a card that says I respect you, then you're going to appreciate it. You're going to be proud of that card. You're going to display it even more. And if I go a step further and you said, like, I really, and this is true, you said, I really respect the way you make sure my car is gassed up every week. If I know that's something that you see through your eyes as a hero act on my part, then you ain't ever gonna have to ask to fill up the gas tank. I'm gonna try to make sure that happens. And yeah, we wane a little bit, we get a little tired, and we might need a little reminder. But for the most part, that's true. So what I'm saying is, whatever I feel like I am satisfying you in those ways, and you let me know that that's a way that you're satisfied, I want to keep that up. Almost to the point where I overdo it, and you'd be like, "That was cool, but I'm kind of tired of it right now. You've been doing it a lot. Don't do it." That's. I think a lot of men feel that way.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought this book up because and the book is called Love and Respect
By
by
Emerson and I forget her name. The Eckriches.
yeah.
The
And early in our marriage, and I forget, somebody gave us the book or something, and whoever that was, they really sold into our marriage in a great way. And I remember we read the book, and it was like, oh, why do we do this? And it talks about getting on the crazy cycle. And we were early in our marriage, we were always on the crazy cycle, always, missing each other in the way we were relating to each other. And it was crazy. Crazy was a good word.
as far as I
And
know, I'm
I know, because you're crazy. But we always recommend that book for newly marrieds or just marrieds because you'll be like, oh yeah, I do that probably drives you crazy kind of thing. And and after that I started signing cards that I give him, all my love and respect, right? So to a woman, because we're emotional and we be in our feelings. So it used to be like all my love or my love or I love you, and that's great. And a man wants to know that they're loved, just as important, and sometimes more importantly, they want to know that they have your respect. So I started signing my cards, all my love and respect, because I want you to know that I respect you, and it's a reminder to me to let you know, you have my respect. I respect the fact that you show up for me, that you're interested in making sure that you're meeting my needs, and that what you're doing I find adequate and satisfying. And so for heretofore I would have said, "Oh, I love you for doing that." And thinking that was all it took, because that's what I want to know. I want to know you love me. Yes, I want to know you respect me.
I love
But
you,
okay, thank you. But for a man, it is that additional component about respect that doesn't naturally, I don't think, occur to women, to communicate, and especially the importance of it.
So I'm going to say something that's kind of relatively new and recent in terms of what I've been hearing. And I belong to a lot of men's groups, and I love to talk to men when women aren't around because men talk different when women aren't around. And one of the raw things that they'll say is, men, we were made for more than just going to work and paying all the bills and just shutting up about it. We were made for that, and a lot of men are kind of exhausted with this feeling of, women are loved for being women, but men are only loved for what they can produce or what they can contribute. And there are women that enter into relationships and they make it feel like the man is just supposed to want to take on all your burdens and all your bills because he just loves you so much and all these different things. That and men are realizing, well, we were built for more than that. We want to be appreciated too. We want to enjoy this life too. We want to enjoy, this should be a mutual enjoyment of this relationship together. I looked at you and you looked at me, and we saw something there that we liked, and we wanted to explore it a little further and kind of see where it can go. And in this optimism, I'm going to give my all to try to please you. I need you to give your all to try to please me. And then somewhere along the line in the marital relationship, it kind of goes away. And for both people on certain things, it just kind of goes away and we stop trying. I want to come home, and I want to come home to a wife that wants me to come home, that looks forward to me being here, not just because she got a list of stuff she needs me to do. I want her to enjoy my company like she did when we were dating. She wanted to be around me all the time. She wanted to, and maybe not all the time, maybe not all the time, but the desire to be around somebody. You want to be in somebody's company, even if you can't. But what it turns into is more of a, I need you here because I need this done, I need this done, I need this done, I need this done. And when you're done with that, then you can do this, and then you do that. And then you go to work, and when you come home, I got to do this. So it seems like you're at work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I know a lot of men who sit in the bathroom for hours because that's their break time, or they drive the long way home. They can come straight home, but they drive the long way home because that's their peace in the car. That's the person that doesn't feel appreciated where they are. They don't feel like they are significant for more than just what they contribute. So they clock out at work and clock in at home, and that can kind of wear you out. And I'm not saying that women don't have that same thing going on. There are definitely some things men expect women to go to work and then come home and work like they're at home wives, and you cook for me, you clean for me, da da da. And so there's definitely, I understand that, but what greases the gears to makes them turn a little bit smoother is just those acts of appreciation and verbalizing. Hey, you know what? I really appreciate that. I appreciate the fact. I tell my wife all the time, and she I always say, I tell you all the time. You be like, is he really telling me all the time? How many times do I tell you about how much I appreciate my underwear drawer is always full? Like, it's always full. Like, I can tell what our relationship is like that day based on is the underwear drawer. If it's not full and they all folded nice and neat, I'm like, oh, I can just. Then she ain't feeling appreciated because she'll do things based on how she feels as well. And if you don't feel appreciated, you half do stuff, or you don't do it at all. In marriage, especially after 20 years, we can be mad at each other, but still do the things that are required of married people. I'm still going to cook for two people. I'm still going to clean. I'm still going to do the thing. We're just going to do it with a little attitude, slam the door a little bit, and, leave the garnish. Like, we'll give you the plate, but we'll leave the garnish off the top of something. It's going to be.
I'll let the underwear drawer get low.
Very low. I'll be down to the ones, the ones that ain't nobody supposed to see outside the house. We all, you got them. Yeah. When I'm down to that, when I see the wood at the bottom of the drawer, I panic a little bit. I'm like, baby, is the washing machine, bro? What's going on? But all of those things are from, that adequacy has to be verbalized. You got to express it. Please don't just assume that they know it, men and women.
Yeah. And we'll talk about the second one in our next married video.
Did we go too long?
No, I want to answer the question that has been asked, but the question of what is the equivalent for women, right? So what is the aversion for women? And I was trying to think of this and in a way that would be universal and not just speak to me and my needs.
Should I have asked? And
we didn't get to it, but I have full confidence.
I was going to
that
ask.
You were going to ask.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right,
and so I'm trying to keep us on time, and so I want to spend a few minutes. But when I was thinking about this, like, what is the universal thing that women have an aversion to? And I think I would say it is safety. And it's safety in three components, maybe four. We want to have emotional safety, physical safety, financial safety. And I was going to say fidelity and spiritual. But I think spiritual, faith, fidelity, it goes without saying. Or we're, just it's understood. But I will say that emotional safety contains fidelity and faith, because if you can be faithful to God, then I feel like you would be faithful to me. But if you can't be faithful to God about the things that you say that you want to be for God, how you show up for God, then you're not going to be faithful to me
True.
either. And so it's that emotional safety, physical safety, and financial safety. So safety, but in those categories, I think is kind of universal for women, and how the thing that we have an aversion to is not feeling safe in those areas. And so it's important, and I don't think we do justice or enough justice in communicating that to our spouse. I think certainly we don't do enough justice to it before we're married, right? Because I don't even know if we understand. I don't know that in premarital counseling that this is honed in enough, or that it's like you really need to understand this. All right, like this has so much weight for the wife, and so as a husband, it's imperative that you grasp this. And likewise with the aversion to being inadequate for a man. Like, I wish in premarital counseling they would say you really need to grasp this as a wife, that your husband has an aversion to being seen or feeling inadequate for you. I think that if those two things could be really weighted at the beginning of the relationship, and you could have that really rich conversation with each other and just be really open and transparent with each other about the fact that that is important, and the whys. What will change with different couples is why. It's kind of like we talked about in our previous video about the trauma, right? So your relational trauma, your childhood trauma, all of that informs what makes you feel safe and what makes you feel unsafe, what makes you feel adequate and what makes you feel inadequate. Those things inform that. And if we could do a better job with being able to communicate those things early on, then I think there are some barriers and some bumps in the road that we wouldn't hit. It Nothing is all good all the time or smooth all the time, and there's something that enriches your marriage to working through some of those things. But I think an understanding of where that is early in the relationship would probably go a long way in keeping couples together and certainly drawing them to one another. What do you think?
I think we just stumbled on a marriage jewel. We just stumbled on something that's really important. I know we're getting ready to run out of time, but I thought about the things that you mentioned, and I thought about the emotional, the physical, the financial, and just fidelity. Period. For a spouse to be a good spouse, you have to want to do better in these things. You have to want to, not just know what they are, not just have head knowledge of it, but a spouse is reflective and always working on continuous improvement and trying to meet the other spouse's needs. And I was getting ready to ask which one of these things do I struggle with the most? And I probably struggle with all of them at some point in time. We all do, but I'm thinking through now how clear this is and how glad I am that you said these four things, because emotionally I know sometimes I'm sarcastic, I have a dry sense of humor, and if it's at the wrong time, you probably feel emotionally let down, like you didn't handle my heart well when I gave it to you just now. You cracked a joke because you were in joke mode, you're in your little joke box in your head, and you didn't take it seriously. So emotional. Physical, I'm on that. I understand that. I understand if I would go
Did you lock that
if I go upstairs and I leave the front door unlocked, man, I used to take it casual. Like, why is she making such a big deal out of this? I got the clack, clack, blam, blam. I'll push back. I'll repel any invaders, right? I knew that was going to happen, but the feeling that she gets, the way she's able to sleep at night, is that physical safety, and other things as well. That the flat tire, the whole 9 yards, kind of falls under that. financially, man, I go to work I try to make money every way that I can, and I try to make sure that we have enough to do whatever it is that we need to do. And I'm not always the best steward of money, but I understand what it's like. It's difficult a romance without finance is a darn nuisance. So you don't ever want to be without money. And infidelity. This is one that I didn't know growing up and coming into a relationship, because what I saw is fidelity. The things that I saw that as all right to do and okay and acceptable, and the flirting and the different things like that. That's not a husband that is looking out for the heart of his wife. And we can talk a little bit more about that. But one of the things my wife will never have to worry about is fidelity in our relationship. If I'm unfaithful, she ain't alive no more, and that's just what it is. So I hope we can come back and revisit. This was kind of interesting. I have a whole lot more to say, but my wife keeps pointing at the time like, "Look, dude, you ask you what time it is. You telling them how to build a clock." All right, we're gonna cut it out.
But this is good, and so we will, we will.
We'll revisit.
We will revisit this, but I'm glad. This is why we have these conversations, right? And I think you never get to, no matter how long we've been married, and how long have we been married?
20 years.
You're still learning. Your spouse is still depositing into your marriage, and so we'll continue on this line of conversation and discuss this a little further.
We love the two people in our audience. Please like, share, and subscribe. Love to hear your comments, thoughts, and suggestions. Let's close this out in prayer, if you don't mind.
Please, sir.
Dear Lord, we thank you for today. We thank you for a great conversation. We thank you for the fact that you give us eyes to see each other, Lord, and love them through those eyes. Father, let us dwell with each other according to knowledge, Lord, and spread your word and your will out over the airwaves so that other couples might benefit from them as well. To the end that you get the glory, Lord. Yes. Your will and your way, nothing more, nothing less. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, conversation community, we out.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Peace.